War. What is it good for? Well, despite how you might answer that question, one thing's for sure is that it's changed the course of history several times over. Each war has several battles, and some of those battles have definitely pushed the outcomes one way or the other. New regimes have risen, and some have held on because of how those battles panned out. I'm Mike with List 25, and today I'm going to take you on a tour through history, in chronological order, to hear about the 25 most decisive battles in history. '25. Battle of Kadesh. So, as a refresher, remember that BCE dates run from biggest to smallest. So when I say this battle was in 1278 BCE, now that was a long time ago. It is currently the earliest recorded battle found described in detail. It was also the largest recorded chariot battle. The Battle of Kadesh occurred in what is present-day Syria between the Egyptians under Ramses II and the Hittites under King Muwatalli II. In this battle, the Egyptians were tricked into an ambush by two spies. At one point, it seemed like the Hittites were winning, but then the Egyptians rallied for a counterattack. There was no outright victor, although both claimed victory. So, why was this battle so important? Well, it led to the first recorded peace treaty. 24. Battle of Marathon. This is the first of a few battles on this list between the Greeks and the Persians. To help revolutionaries overthrow Persian rulers, Athens sent troops to their aid. They even burned down the city of Sardis. Well, Darius I from Persia didn't appreciate this. So in 490 BCE, he sent 600 ships carrying 1,000 cavalry and 25,000 infantrymen to just north of Athens. Although the Greeks only had 10,000 Athenian and 1,000 Plataean troops, they stormed straight down the center of the Persian troops under the command of a general named Miltiades. Everyone thought he was crazy, including the Greeks, who were baffled by such bold moves. Yes, the Greek center was weakened, but then the army rallied to flank the sides, and the Persians broke ranks and fled for the ships. Without this victory, Greek culture would have been lost, and Western civilization would be much different than it is today. 23. Battle of Salamis. Darius was really mad now, and he could not forget about the Greeks. So he, of course, planned another invasion. Well, he died before he could carry it out. His son Xerxes carried out said invasion instead. In a battle fought at the sea, the Persians' 1,207 ships met with the Greeks' 371 ships. The Greeks ruled the Persians in the Straits of Salamis. The Persians took the bait, but were slaughtered because there were so many ships in the strait that they couldn't properly maneuver. Greek civilization was saved again. 22. Battle of Thermopylae. This is Sparta! Or at least this is the battle the movie 300 was based off. The Battle of Thermopylae was waged between the Persians under Xerxes I and a group of Greek city-states under Leonidas I. 10 years after the defeat at the Battle of Marathon, Xerxes had amassed a large army, both on land and at sea. At that point, he set off to conquer all of Greece. In response, Leonidas led 7,000 men to block the pass of Thermopylae. The Greeks at this point were used to being outnumbered, and while they lost this battle, they held the Persian army off for 7 days, 3 of which were spent in direct battle. Toward the end, Leonidas realized he was outflanked, so he let most of his army go and stayed back with 300 Spartans and 700 Thespians. They all fought the Persians till death. 21. Battle of Gaugamela. Let's fast forward to 331 BCE. This one involves Alexander the Great, and it's the battle that gave him control over the Persian Empire. After a series of defeats, the morale of the Persian army was low. When the Greeks, under Alexander, went on the offensive against the Persians, you might guess that it didn't go too well for the Persians. The Persians still greatly outnumbered the Greeks, but Alexander's military strategy and his elite soldiers didn't give them much of a chance. When he realized his defeat, Persian ruler Darius III turned and ran, his army behind him. He was then murdered by one of the governors under his rule, thus ending the Persian Empire. 20. Battle of the Metaurus. This battle was fought between Rome under Nero and the Carthaginians under Barca. Barca was on his way to join forces with his brother Hannibal in Italy. They planned to attack the city of Rome, hoping to end the Second Punic War between Rome and Carthage. A Roman force led by L. Porcius Licinius and Marcus Livius Salinator held Barca's forces on the way to his brother, and Nero came to lend aid. They put an end to Barca's forces and to Barca himself. Without his brother's help, Hannibal's armies were unable to claim victory over Roman-held territory. When he was then called to Africa, Hannibal lost against another Roman general, and Rome was able to claim victory over the entire war. Had the Carthaginians won this battle, or had Barca made it to his brother earlier, historians speculate that the war could have gone a lot differently. 19. The Battle of Carrhae. Audacious greed can sometimes backfire. In 53 BCE, the Roman Republic under Marcus Licinius Crassus initiated an unprovoked attack against the Parthian Empire. Despite it being a surprise attack, Serenus, a Parthian noble, annihilated or captured almost all of Crassus's legions. Survivors fled, and Crassus was killed after being tricked into meeting with Serenus. 18. Battle of Pharsalus. Before the Romans had their empire, they had their republic, and during this time there was a Roman civil war. This war was waged between Julius Caesar and Pompey. Caesar had just been defeated by Pompey when they met again in Greece. Pompey had double the amount of men. However, due to Caesar's military tactics, he was able to win. Pompey fled, and his men surrendered, fled, or were killed. Soon after, Caesar was made dictator for life in 44 BCE after putting out a few more military fires. 17. Battle of the Catalaunian Plains. This turned out to be one of the last major military battles of the Western Roman Empire. It was waged between a coalition of Roman and Visigoth forces against the Huns. This battle is known for its ferocity, and it stopped the advancement of the Huns and the destruction of Gaul, a Roman territory, and the culture of Western civilization. Historians point to this as being the turning point to the end of Attila and the Huns, as it put a big dent in his reputation for being invincible. He conceded another battle a year later, and within the next 16 years, he died. His sons fought amongst themselves, and Attila's massive empire dissolved. 16. Battle of Tours. This battle took place somewhere between the cities of Poitiers and Tours in what is now west-central France. Muslim invaders from Spain were moving successfully across Europe. This area of battle was seen as the line between the Muslim invaders and the Frankish territories. To combat the Umayyad forces, the Muslim forces, Charles Martel, with the Frankish forces, arranged his army in a defensive square. The Muslims were faced with the task of fighting a literal uphill battle, which they ultimately lost. While this battle didn't fully end the Muslim advance, it allowed Charles to assert his authority in the area, which is important as he paved the way for his grandson Charlemagne to bring the area under Frankish control. 15. Battle of Hastings. When King Edward the Confessor died, he left behind a power vacuum, as he had no heir. In his place, Harold Godwinson took the English throne. Sensing an opportunity, the Norman-French Duke of Normandy, William, decided to invade. He quickly did so, and when William came through as the clear victor, so started the Norman conquest of England. 14. Battle of Manzikert. This battle marked the beginning of the end of the Byzantine Empire as a military viable state. The Battle of Manzikert was waged between the Byzantines and the Seljuk Turks. The Seljuks were starting to push into Byzantine territory, so the Byzantines tried to re-establish their security on the Eastern Front. When the Byzantines entered the Turkish-held city of Manzikert, the Turks rushed to meet them. The Byzantines possibly could have won, except for betrayal in ranks. Some of their troops were Turkmen. Many important and elite Byzantine troops were killed in this battle. The leading general was captured and only returned after key Byzantine territories were turned over to the Turks. He was then blinded and killed by his political enemies. 13. The Siege of Orleans. The Siege of Orleans was an important battle for two reasons. 1. It was the turning point during the 100 Years' War between France and England. 2. This is when Joan of Arc burst onto the scene as a military genius. The city of Orleans was besieged by the English, and it continued for several months. The siege, however, was put to an end by none other than Joan of Arc. Then, a teenage peasant, she led an army of French soldiers to put a stop to it. This battle happened at the peak of English successes in the war. Had English forces succeeded, their dreams of conquering all of France might have been realized. 12. Fall of Tenochtitlan. This military engagement was waged between the Aztecs and the Spanish. Spanish forces under Hernán Cortés combined forces with local tribes to conquer the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan. It took them 93 days, but eventually, thanks to both a smallpox outbreak and better weapons, the Spanish forces took over the city. This victory put an end to the Aztec Empire and allowed the Spanish to take stronger control over what was to become the colony of New Spain. 11. Battle of Sekigahara. Warlord Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a de facto ruler of Japan, died in the conquest of China in 1589. This left a massive power struggle between Ishido Mitsunari and Tokugawa Ieyasu. This battle put an end to the major power struggle. It started with pretty equal forces, but soon Ieyasu's men were slowly losing. At that time, Mitsunari called on fresh help, the Mori, but the Mori decided to sit by and do nothing, turning on him. The Mori, along with 4 other generals, fell on Mitsunari's rear. Ieyasu was victorious and became shogun. 10. Battle of Poltava. Waged between Russia and Sweden, the Battle of Poltava is considered the largest and most decisive battle in the Great Northern War. Poltava was a trading center and military depot, and therefore a strategic location to have control over. Despite being seriously weakened by harsh weather, Sweden laid siege to Poltava. They failed in such a way that their loss in this battle has been deemed the greatest military catastrophe in Sweden's history. It knocked the Swedish Empire from being a great European power and made way for Russian dominance in Northern Europe. 9. Battle of Plassey. In 1755, there was a few representatives from other countries vying for the top position in India. 2 of these were the British East India Company and the French East India Company. The newest Nawab, or ruler of Bengal at the time, was pro-French and took to overthrowing British posts. After Calcutta was taken, the British went to take it back, and on the way they were confronted by the Nawab in Plassey. The British forces were vastly outnumbered. However, when it started to rain, the British had protection for their ammunition, and the French, did not. When the French charged in, the British were able to continue to fire. The Bengal and the French lost 1,500 men out of 50,000. The British, less than 100 out of 3,000. This battle marked the start of almost 2 centuries of British rule in India. 8. Battles of Saratoga. In the second year of the American Revolution, there were 2 battles of Saratoga fought 18 days apart, and they marked a turning point in the war, with the victory belonging to the Continentals. Why were these battles so important? Well, they prevented British control of the Hudson River Valley area and sealed the support from France. 7. Siege of Yorktown. While the battles of Saratoga were incredibly significant, the Siege of Yorktown was the decisive battle of the American Revolution. Troops under General George Washington marched from New York to Yorktown, Virginia, and surprised the British troops under General Charles Lord Cornwallis. With help from the French, this victory shifted things towards American victory in the American Revolution. It was the last major land battle of the Revolution, and it led to peace negotiations and the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783. 6. The Battle of Valmy. Not too long after the American Revolution, things were heating up in France. In 1791, Austria and Prussia signed an agreement promising military action if republicanism continued in France. France, of course, continued toward becoming a republic. Prussia was also helping to restore the French monarchy and decided to march on Paris. However, they were unsuccessful. Victory for France in this battle allowed them to invade the Austrian Netherlands, and allowed for the establishment of the First French Republic. 5. The Battle of Waterloo. When Napoleon returned to power in 1815, he knew he had a few battles to fight in order to stop those trying to overthrow him, namely the 7th Coalition. This coalition was made of 2 separate armies, the Prussians and the British. Napoleon knew he had to defeat them separately before they combined forces on the battlefield. He quickly defeated the Prussian army and was well on his way to defeating the British forces when the remnants of the Prussian army regrouped and joined the battle. Napoleon then had to split his forces, and was quickly attacked from the other side. The French forces lost 41,000 troops to the coalition's 24,000. Napoleon was captured and exiled to the island of St. Helena. 4. Battle of Ayacucho. The Battle of Ayacucho was fought during the Peruvian War of Independence. They were seeking freedom from Spain. The Spanish forces had a slightly larger army, but about 10 times as many artillery pieces, giving them the upper hand. However, what they didn't have was loyalty from other South Americans. The Peruvian forces included other South American militias, Venezuelans, Colombians, Argentinians, and Chileans. Before the battle, many people left the Spanish line and went over to fight alongside their friends. The Spanish forces were defeated and their viceroy and generals captured. Terms of surrender were to leave Peru and Charcas, now Bolivia. 3. Battle of San Jacinto. During the Texas War for Independence from Mexico, the Texan militia, led by Sam Houston, led a surprise attack against Mexican General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna at San Jacinto, near present-day Houston. The Mexican forces lost, and hundreds were taken prisoner, including Santa Anna. Texas then had its independence. 2. Battle of Königgrätz, aka Battle of Sadowa. The Battle of Sadowa was fought during the 7 Weeks' War that led to the Austrian defeat at the hands of the Prussian army. Prussian victory led to the Lesser German solution and the creation of the German Empire. It also led to Austria's exclusion from Prussian-dominated Germany. 1. Battle of the Atlantic. The Battle of the Atlantic was fought between the Allied forces and the Germans during World War II. It was the longest and most decisive battle, lasting 5 years, 8 months, and 5 days. As the title implies, it was fought in the seas of the Atlantic. With their superior submarine, U-boat power, the Germans attempted to cut off British supplies by sinking their merchant ships. The Germans were making significant headway at first, and then it was an ongoing battle of increasing naval technology and intensity. In the end, the Germans couldn't sink enough ships to make the British surrender. After the US entry into the war, the Germans couldn't keep up with the productivity gains of the Allied forces. Had the Battle of the Atlantic gone the other direction, the British outcome in World War II would have been much different. So, what are some battles throughout history you think are super significant? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content, including our shorts in case you want little bite-sized versions of List 25. As always, please join our Discord, come help that community grow so we can talk, you guys can suggest things, whatever you want, we just chat, I'm in there daily. Also, if you can, please think of becoming a member so you can help support this channel, so it can help us keep bringing you this amazing content. Thank you guys so much, I love you, and as always, I'll see you next time.
Be sure to click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Share them with your friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these videos here or just head to our website at list25.com.